for us, it's about, making this world a better place, like making a positive change or writing songs to inspire a positive change that's for me, that's the goal.
Welcome to episode 151 of the Bass Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. In this episode of the Bass Shed podcast, I am joined by Joe Principe. He's a founding member of one of the most influential punk bands titled Rise Against.
Before we get started, if you enjoy conversations with today's leading bassists, make sure to subscribe to the Bass Shed podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Every subscription helps us grow and connect the bass community. Now, here are a couple of resources for bass players.
If you're a double bassist, you have to check out my friends at Lemur Music. For over 40 years, they've been one of the most trusted names in the bass world, offering strings, bows, cases, pickups, accessories, and expert advice for bass players of every level. Visit lemurmusic.com or click the link in the show notes and use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, to save 10%. lemurmusic.com. All right, folks, I'm excited to tell you about the book I put together with bass legend Jerry Jamont. Jerry Jamont, 15 Timeless Bass Lines. Jerry Jamont, 15 Timeless Bass Lines explores 15 classic bass lines from Jamont's incredible career. The lines that help define the sound of soul and R&B recordings by artists like Aretha Franklin, King Curtis, and so many more. You can find Jerry Jamont 15 Timeless Bass Lines at thebassshedacademy.org or click on the link in the show notes below. As I mentioned, Joe Principe is on the episode with me. Joe Principe has been the bassist and founding member of the group Rise Against since the band formed in Chicago back in 1999. Over the past 25 years, Rise Against has become one of the defining bands in modern punk rock, earning multiple gold certified albums, platinum selling singles, touring the world, and building a reputation for combining powerful songwriting with a strong social conscience. Following the release of the band's 10th studio album titled Ricochet, Rise Against launched the ART project, All Rise Together. This is a new fan-driven community initiative that invites fans into the band's creative world as they head out on their 2026 spring tour across the US and Canada. Joe Principe joins me to discuss the band's formation and really staying true to core values in a changing music industry, and while everything's kind of circling around and there's not too much that's stable, Joe's going to speak about the importance of what it means, and he's going to speak about what success means for himself personally and for the band. It's a very fascinating conversation. I loved having Joe on the podcast, and here it is. Here's my talk with the bassist of Rise Against, Mr. Joe Principe. How you doing, man? Sorry about the last one. I didn't even consider daylight savings time was going to bump the whole thing, so sorry about that.
No, all good.
Sorry about that.
I'm good. We're in Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, you're on tour.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Now, from the looks of things, it's a pretty substantial tour. You guys are out for a minute.
Yeah, our last show's April 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is like night after night, different city every night.
Yeah, and it's like we the older we get, we've gotten smarter with touring and giving ourselves more days off.
I mean, none of us can hang like we used to. That's for sure.
Yeah, but we did a tour once way back in the day where it was 51 shows in 53 days.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now, was that regional, or was that kind of all over the nation?
Yeah, it was all over North America.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Ooh. So that was the back in the days of us being in a van with a trailer.
Okay. I'm assuming touring is a much different situation now. You're not in the van with the trailer.
It definitely way more comfortable now. Yeah, we have a bus. I have nothing to complain about. We're definitely lucky to have to be able to do it at this level. You know, we're very lucky.
Right. Now you guys have been at it for a minute. For listeners of the podcast that are being introduced to the group for the first time through this, talk about the group Rise Against. How long
Yes.
has the band been together?
So Rise Against was kind of birthed out of the ashes of my old band, my old punk band. We were called 88 Fingers Louie, which was a character on the Flintstones. He was a piano thief. So terrible name, but at the time, in the whole like the wave of like punk rock, skate punk, like bands like Bad Religion and NoFX, like we were in that world. We were on Fat Records, and then we moved over to Hopeless Records, which they're probably one of the biggest independent labels right now. They have All Time Low. They Avenged Sevenfold came from Hopeless Records. So like, and so we had broken up in early 1999, and then basically the core guys of the band, everyone except the singer, we were like, okay, do we replace the singer? Do we just start something new? And we're like, you know what? We'll just start something new. We'll start over. And we started auditioning singers. And then we, oddly enough, like I knew of our singer, Tim. I knew him just through the local punk shows. But I was really close with his wife now, but his girlfriend at the time. She would come see my band play all the time, and she was really great. We hit it off. We hung out all the time, and I ran into Tim at a show in Indianapolis. It was AFI, Sick of It All, and a band called Indecision. And I was like, "Hey, I'm starting a new band. Do you want to try out for it?" And no one thought it would work because my background, I was more on the old school punk rock kind of tip, growing up, and he was a little bit more in like the Fugazi, like that kind of world. Just like a little bit later period, like emo, like I guess at this point, I guess you could say early 90s, emo and that kind of scene. And it just clicked. Like, and then we definitely went through like some drummer, issues, and 6 months into that, so we're talking at this point, early 2000, right? So we were looking for a drummer, and I could not find a drummer in Chicago that could play fast and keep good time and had a great, I was really looking for like someone who's really good with their kick drum, especially playing faster songs. And we stumbled across our drummer Brandon just through mutual friends, and he came from Denver. He flew out to try out, and we literally had zero fans. We had just signed to Fat Records, just kind of like through my relationship with those guys with my old band, and then here we are, 25 years later. So basically, like the band started in late December '99, early 2000s.
Okay. Now that's a crazy time to be putting together a new project with the dawn of like social media is really kind of, I don't know the exact dates of when all that stuff happened, but how social media would then change the music industry and all that. Was there any nerves or any apprehension about starting a new project in the state of what the industry was like at that time?
So no, because it was like right before everything changed drastically, right? So like for me, like I'm 4 years older than our singer and our drummer, and I was like, do I want to start something new? Do I want to start something new at 26 years old, or do I want to just go to college and get like a normal job? And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just follow my heart. I don't know how to get my iPad to stop doing that.
No, man, that's the Wayne's World extreme close up. I'm into it.
I know. It's like, damn it, Apple.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah. So like, I was definitely hesitant to make another go of it, and luckily, like I had a bunch of friends and family encouraging me, and then I just did it, and we spent, of course we went through the proper, we recorded a record, and we just got on any tour that would take us. Our label helped us out a lot. My connections with my old band helped us out a great deal. We didn't have a booking agent, for like the first 2 years of the band. So like we just literally rewrote the coattails of what I did in the past. And we, things just started clicking. And then when we recorded our second album, we're talking like 2002, November 2002. We were kind of like a unified idea as far like musically, right? Like we kind of figured out what we wanted to be, and it just clicked. That record, the songs kind of wrote themselves. It was all the stars like aligned. So that's really like kind of what put us on the map. I think globally, really.
Okay, and that was '02.
That was like '02. It came out in 2003.
Okay.
And that was our second album on Fat Records. It's called Revolutions Per Minute. And then we continued to tour as much as we could. It was before we were married, and had children, so we could just go.
Mm-hmm.
We toured with Bad Religion, Sick of It All. Basically, we toured with hardcore bands, punk bands, ska bands. We kind of fit in with like all of it.
Right. How's it been sustaining a band for this long now that you have families and spouses? And how has that transition been? Like getting into, you're not 26 anymore, hopping in a van and like, yeah, let's just go play music. You got some different responsibilities. How has that changed the band? And how do you sustain the longevity of a career being on the road?
Yeah, well, we're mindful of kind of like the work family life balance.
That's huge for all musicians, and I probably want to dive a little bit more into this after you get done with the initial response.
Yeah, for sure. It really is all about balance, but it's all my family's used to, right? So they know like that's my job, and right. But my kids are they're teenagers now, so they'll come out and see us play. And, it's like a different vibe. They're kind of in their own worlds. Sometimes they don't even realize like I'm leaving for a tour until I'm literally out the door with bags. Right. I'm like, I told you guys a million times, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
but they're busy. And it's all my wife is used to. That's just, we kind of just gotten like the rhythm of that. But I think if anything, it's probably the hardest on me because like we'll have days off and then it makes me super homesick.
Sure.
So you just have to keep like occupying your time and your mind and make use of that time. I like to see friends like when I'm on the road. Like that's huge. Reconnecting with people and. Without playing music, I would go nuts. Like sure. I need that release in my life. So it's funny because like it's like a catch-22. You complain about touring, and then when I'm home for longer than like a month, then I get super antsy, and it's tough because like it makes me want to write new music, but then also like I'm in dad mode, so I'm driving kids around. Well, now my oldest can drive kids, the other siblings around.
Sure, right.
But yeah, like so it's definitely like it's bittersweet,
Mm-hmm. How do you keep up the punk ethos of what I'm not a punk musician, but how do you keep that up when you have adult responsibilities and you're not a punk? Like you're not a punk anymore. When we're in our 20s, I think we all go through that phase a little bit about, pushing boundaries and trying to find out our place in the world and all that stuff. And then you become older and you become part of the machine, so to speak. You get a job, you're paying your taxes, you're part of it. And it's not punk. You become everything you were pushing against, so to speak. So how does having the responsibilities of being in dad mode and being a husband, how do you still keep the punk ethos and bring that kind of energy and that raw visceral thing in the sound of the music.
Well, I think for me, when I'm picking up a guitar or a bass, writing music, I still have that angst in me. But I also I've always written right for whatever I'm feeling for that moment, that time. Like I don't force anything. So like, and I grew up listening to hardcore punk, Police, Elvis Costello, the Stranglers were huge for
Mhm.
me. But then also like new wave. I'm kind of all over the map. I love 80s pop. I love Duran Duran. John Taylor's amazing. So like, I just when I'm sitting down, like I'll feel all those things. Like I'm not just writing, yeah, fast like screamy songs. But I do have that in me still, at this, point in my life. And I need that side to come out of me, as well as a gentler side, but living in like family mode I definitely have to remind myself like, okay, it's not just me like against the world or against, whatever. If I disagree with someone in my neighborhood, like other parents at school functions, I just have to be mindful of like, this is for my children.
Sure.
I don't want to like, I don't want to embarrass them. I don't want to say something that's gonna, maybe haunt me later. Not that I would, but
Right.
I definitely walk that line a little bit. I'm mindful of, my surroundings. And I'm also realistic, right? Like I still have those values in me, but there's a bigger picture with the family.
Mm-hmm. I think musicians on a whole don't always understand balance the best in the world. I think
Yep.
artists on a whole, that's not just musicians actually. It's I was talking to a student about this not that long ago because it's like all the characteristics that go into making someone great at their craft are not the characteristics that help you succeed in the world. It is the exact opposite, actually. You have to be completely obsessive and just tunnel vision on one thing, and kind of be a slave to it, to just, be willing to die for the thing. And that doesn't translate into having a tempered, balanced life outside of music. How have you personally gone about putting those two mindsets together? About you need the one that's all consuming, and then you need the one that's balanced and living in service to other people and things like that.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. Like, my wife will have to say like, like, hey, pay, like, because I'll get my head into something as far as like a piece of music I need to finish,
Sure.
like, and it's like, she's like, you have to, the kids they're looking for, advice or rides or this and that. Like,
Sure.
you have to you get your head in the game a little bit. I still struggle with it, because it's not that I don't want to be present, in whatever they need from me. But also like I fixate on things. So
Yeah.
I'm literally out shopping with my kids and I'm still like fixating over like a bass fill or something. I'm like,
Right. Yeah, there's this thing turning in the back of your mind. Like you're there, you're present, but then there's something on the back burner still boiling.
yeah. Totally. Yeah. But I do the best I can for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's something we all have to kind of learn to navigate in our own ways. You guys just came out with a record, correct?
Yeah, we came out with a record. It's called Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we definitely. It's a record. We changed up the process a little bit. Going on our 10th record, we switched production teams. We used the producer Catherine Marks,
Mm-hmm.
who's done like Boy Genius and Saint Vincent. Definitely not known for like to be in like the rock world, and that's by design. We purposely wanted to just work with someone that was kind of out of left field a little bit. And then we had Alan Mulder mix the record. But at this point, we recorded the record like 3 years ago. It took a long time to come out. It's like getting the timing with the label and just making sure everything was like kind of aligned. So it came out in August 2024. And yeah, this is because we were on tour last year with Papa Roach. We were direct support. This is our first headlining tour, for the record. It's been this long drawn out process. But yeah, like I said, like, so it was definitely like we mixed up the process a little bit, just being a band for so long. We figured we would owe that to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. How's the response been from longtime fans who know you with a certain specific musical identity? Have the fans accepted the new sound and the new kind of production team and how that shaped the sound?
It's definitely all over the map.
Yeah.
It's like any record. You can't win. I think
Right.
I think if you think you're gonna woo somebody by something new, like, you're mistaken, because you'll woo maybe 25% of the people, and then there's the other 75%. They're like, why don't you write like your second album, or why don't everyone's kind of,
Right.
and I'm the same way. Like, there's bands I love. It's like, even like, we'll take The Cure, for instance. Their last record is amazing, but it's incredibly, incredibly mellow, and it's got a different kind of color to it. Where me, like, I want songs like Boys Don't Cry, but they wrote that in like 1981.
Right.
It's, you can't please everyone. But I feel like every record's like kind of just that stamp in time,
Yeah.
So like, moving forward, our next record, it probably won't be that. It probably, maybe it'll be a nod to like the past, or maybe it won't be. It's like, it's kind of like whatever we're feeling in that moment again,
As an artist, what are your personal thoughts on respecting the catalog you've released and kind of giving your fans a sense of that and still pushing yourselves creatively forward?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think for me, I can't speak to, because like, typically, our singer and myself write the music of the band, and we come at it from different angles, to a certain extent. But that's always been a great mix. I feel like, from my perspective, I try not to think about it too much, because that gets in the way of a vision. That gets in the way of like what I'm trying to accomplish.
Sure.
So as long as like I'm true to myself and just kind of follow like my gut instinct on whatever I'm working on at the time, to make sure the idea is there and it's solid. That's all my goal is. I try not to think about anything outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be challenging, but again, if there's a bass sitting here or a guitar, I'll just pick it up and I start noodling, and that's when I come up with the best ideas, I think, because I'm not overthinking it.
Right. What are some sources of inspiration? And I know it can be anything at any given time, but what are some regular sources of inspiration for your writing process?
Again, writing is a release for whatever mood I'm in, right? So I'm not super vocal generally. Like, I'm not like, I'm definitely like a quiet person.
I think that's a bass player thing.
Yeah, 100%. Right?
Like in a group setting, one-on-one, we might get a little bit more chatty, but when it's like more than two people, we kind of just hang back, like watch it unfold, chime in a little bit. It's how we play. Like, we're just gonna lay back. Here's a little bass fill, like, conversationally. And I'm just gonna go back to holding it down.
I know. It's funny because I leave it up to our guitar player Zach to do all the talking, and that's like shows right in his guitar playing. It's like soloing, like it's like, makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's all about the mood and the release for me personally. Without it, again, like, I think I would I just need that in my life to get it out of me, right? And I think that that's all over the map, it really just reflects, my writing reflects the mood of the day,
Okay.
and I know maybe I wish I could elaborate more, but it's really just that simple,
Just staying in the moment, staying present with yourself emotionally and grounded and expressing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now you've talked a few times about being true to yourself and that what we just mentioned there. At what point in your personal life or musician career did that become a strong beacon to follow? Instead of trying to chase the industry or to sound like one of your heroes, at what point did it really become, I'm just going to stick to my guns, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to do me, and release authentic music? Because that's not always the case. And sometimes people have to go through a process to get to that place.
Yeah, I think for us as a band, it's been like since day one.
Oh, wow.
It's been ingrained in us. I think growing up in the punk community and the hardcore community, it's like a sense of belonging, family. And when I was growing up, the mainstream world was like the enemy, right? It's like, well, don't, and of course I was this angsty kid. But I realized as every step of the band, we've carried that with us. Even when we signed to a major label, we took less money to maintain creative control of the band. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about cashing in for the time being. It was like there was like a long game, in our heads. It's like, let's actually use this for better distribution. Every band says that, we signed to a major label for better distribution. And I would say that's true for most cases, but a lot, there's also those cases where people wanted the money, right?
Mm.
So what they don't realize is you have to pay that money back and then you're going to be in debt with the label. We didn't want that. And I would say up until the last record, we've never demoed for a record label. We literally went into the studio, recorded it, and whatever came out is what we released. And we were lucky enough to have people surrounding us to let us do that and to understand, like, you can't mess with this band or it's going to be very obvious. Because that's what makes this band successful, is who we are as people. And we are our best judges of what we should sound like, so like when I write a song, it's almost impossible for me not to hear Tim's vocals over the piece of music I'm writing.
Right.
It's like a blessing and a curse, but it's just because we've been writing together for so long. I think that, but it's advantageous, for me to do that. It's like I can hear, because I can write something and I'm like, oh, that sounds too much like, The Clash, or that sounds too much like the Bad Brains. But like as soon as he sings over it, it's us,
Right.
So it's easy to put stuff under the microscope, but once you get the bigger picture of the band, it sounds like Rise Against. So I would never want outside people to tell us what this band should sound like. We did the last record, we did demos for the label we're on now, and that was only because we were taking a step into like the unknown world of like a different producer, and we just wanted to make sure like the roots of the band were intact, before we kind of let someone else take the reins.
Right.
But other than that, it was, it's all us, and it's always been since like the day one,
We'll be back right after this.
If you're enjoying this conversation, there's even more waiting for you at the Bass Shed Backstage. Backstage is where the podcast continues beyond the public episodes with exclusive podcast extras created for bass players who want to dive deeper. Members get access to the 5 Spot, an extension of the podcast where guests respond to 5 rapid-fire bassist callouts, sharing their first reactions about the players who inspired them. You'll also unlock the Listening Room, a guided listening experience exploring landmark recordings, the bassist behind them, and what makes these albums so influential. Backstage members receive exclusive discounts on courses and workshops from the Bass Shed Academy, plus all access to our growing library of bass transcriptions and lessons. Become a Backstage member at thebassshed.com. Scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the show notes below.
Excellent.
What you just mentioned, like not kind of selling out for the money of a record deal or something like that. The band has had success. Top 10 albums on the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
How do you measure success if you're not looking at it just by like a financial career standpoint? What does success mean for you personally, and what does success mean for the band?
I would say those are one and the same for me, and it's about reaching as many people as we can. And I think the what's important is not to force feed our beliefs, our ideals, at people, but it's like it's about presenting factual information and let the audience making up their own minds, and hopefully it resonates with people. I would never tell someone like what to believe.
Sure.
But it's all for us. It's about, making this world a better place, making a positive change or writing songs to inspire a positive change for me, that's the goal. That kind of measures success. When I hear people saying like, I'm vegan, I don't care what people eat, but for me personally, it works for me.
Sure.
When people come up to me and say, "Oh, I went vegetarian or vegan because of you," that's huge for me. Not because I want people to be like me, but because I disagree with some, that industry, and it's cool to see people listening to what we're singing about or to what I'm saying in interviews or whatever, and they're not just about like diet. That could apply to anything, political beliefs or
Sure.
or just how I carry myself in my neighborhood, the way I raise my children, like things like that. Like, again, I don't want to tell someone what to believe, but I just hope people are giving my opinion a chance and being open to it,
Mm-hmm. Now, this leads us into another kind of topic. It's not even another one. It's just whatever. Community is a big part. Like you've talked about it several times already.
Yeah.
The importance of community, and what you guys are doing now with a new project called ART. Talk about ART.
Yeah. So it stands for acronym for All Rise Together. And we wanted something that we could participate with our fans and let them be a part of our creative process, let them be a part of just our creative world. And what we did was we had recorded let me think, like 4 songs live in a live setting, and we picked 50 fans, and they wrote posters based on lyrics that mean a lot, mean something to them. And they made these posters, and we posted the posters as our backdrop in the video.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was like they were a part of, that our world,
Sure.
And we're kind of taking it on the road a little bit, where we have a Dropbox at our merchandise booth where kids can write postcards, and it could be whatever they want. It could be art. It could be what we mean to them. And I think we haven't really pinned down what we're going to do with the postcards at the end of the tour yet. I would imagine we're going to use it for, social media purposes, our posts. But I think that's huge. I think it's important because when I was growing up, my family life was great. My mother was very loving and pushed me to play music. But outside of that, I grew up in a very closed-minded Italian, like Goodfellas neighborhood.
Where we haven't actually spoke about this, and sorry to interrupt. Where are you from originally? We haven't.
I'm from Melrose Park, Illinois.
Okay.
So that's like, if you Google it, it was like mafia growing up
Yeah, the
and
Al Capone,
police.
the Al Capone
Yes.
hood. Yeah, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
So it was very close-minded. I grew up skateboarding and into punk rock very young, and I was immediately an outcast. Other than, I think people left me alone a little bit because my family were police officers, and so I just kind of got left alone. But I still didn't maintain many friendships, from my youth.
Was that because your parents worked for the authorities and were cops, and so no one really wanted to get too close to you because pending punishment is right around the corner?
Well, it was more like, we're not going to bully this kid because his dad is the chief or a sergeant,
Oh wow,
at the police station.
Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't want to hang out with me. They just left me alone.
Okay.
So I luckily I found activities growing up that I could do for myself. Like I hated the team sports environment because of that reason. Like I just didn't fit in with that. So I found skateboarding really young, and I looked outside of that, and I found a community in neighboring suburbs. And then that kind of went hand in hand with me getting into punk rock and music in general. And then I started going to concerts really young, and I discovered that community, and I finally felt like, okay, I'm with like-minded people and I fit in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to carry that experience, to now with our fans, for them to experience that, with us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely an interesting, childhood growing up in that environment.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating how that would, the child of a police officer in that kind of environment. Yeah, there's kind of, that's probably another podcast.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of people continue on their music journey for reasons similar to that, where they find community, where they find like they're finally recognized as an individual because maybe they weren't in other aspects like sports or something. When with your children, do you talk about this and to them and how to kind of be mindful about what communities they're getting plugged into, but that it's okay to find the community and be recognized for what they have to offer as an individual?
Yeah. So I realized early on when my kids started forming relationships, maybe when they're like 7, 8 years old, you want to guide them gently. At least I did. I didn't want to say, you need to do this, because they're going to do the opposite.
Of course.
My wife and I taught, be kind to people. Don't judge people based on race, sexual orientation. Just everyone is their own person. Let them be an individual.
Sure.
And that's why, this world is amazing, right? Like we're all just our own people, and it's all about getting along and respecting people. So we kind of instilled that those ethics in them. And then what I realize is it works because they're amazing kids, and I hear them talk, about everyday issues, lives, other people in school, and they're very kind and they're very open-minded. And I feel like it's like the force feeding thing. If I was told my kids, you need to think this way, they're going to be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So you have to just kind of give them the tools to be good people early on and hope that they're making good choices. Because, I know, I have 2 siblings. My oldest sister, that's actually how I got into punk rock. She was 5 years older than me, and I used to steal her cassettes, right?
Okay.
And I got into bands like Dead Kennedys very young, like 5th grade.
Oh wow.
But she was she grew up partying and just having teenage, whatever parties and whatever. we same mother, right? And my father passed away when we were really young, like when I was like 7 years old. Um, so um, he like my mom did the same for all of us, but I think that's where the individuality comes into play. I never drank. I never tried a drug. Where my sister partied, and then she got out of it when she got into college or whatever. But it's just, again, it's like upbringing only does so much, because at the end of the day, we are still our own person. You can only do so much raising your children, without being like that strict jerk parent, yelling at their kids every day.
Sure. Now, I mean, I don't have children. It seems, it seems like a fine line to walk to raise them to be open-minded and understanding of people that come from different cultures and backgrounds and lifestyles, but still have a sense of what their core values are. So to instill a sense of core values, but yeah, maybe someone over there doesn't line up with what you believe for you. Like you brought up being vegan earlier.
Yep.
Also, I'm not a vegan, but you're a vegan, but you're like, okay, cool. You want to eat meat,
Yep.
but that's not for me. So you're respecting someone else's decision, but you still have your core value. How does that translate into that? And I mean, I should probably bring this back into music somehow, because this is it's turning into like a psychology podcast. But I do think it's all the same, because all these things come out in the music. Maybe this part will get edited out. I don't know. But how do you do that? How do you teach them to be open-minded and still have a core sense of values? And honestly, I think that there's nothing more punk than that. Like to be accepting, especially in where we're at these days, to be accepting, but still be like, yeah, but I'm right here. Like I'm not moving me, but you do you. That's all good. Handle it. If that's how you want to roll, do it. I'm not gonna do it. This is me. I think that's pretty punk. Is like to accept, to not push back against the society, but accept it. It doesn't hurt me if someone else is just for the sake of vegan, and that's a very non-intrusive thing to use as an example. It doesn't hurt me if you're vegan. Be vegan. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go protest the fact that someone's vegan. All right, cool, man, do it. If that's your thing, cool. I think that is more punk than anything these days.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I definitely had a very conflicting moment. So we raised our children vegetarian, and then when my oldest son's 17, my daughter's 15, and my youngest boy's 12. When my daughter, right when she turned 14, because she just turned 15 in January. I would say about 6 months ago, she started wanting to try like fish. And I was very conflicted. And at first I was like, no, I don't, but then it took my wife saying, you have to let them make their own choices, and I was like, she's like, they're, my daughter's, now she's 15, she's becoming like this young adult.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's right. Like I have to let them decide if that's what they think. That's what feels right to them. Like I can't stop them. They're not harming anyone or themselves. Right. So like,
sure.
And I want them to be an individual. So I had to like kind of, take the brakes off a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like it
myself.
doesn't, yeah, I feel like it doesn't, that's not an end result. That's just want to try fish.
Yeah,
exactly. And maybe that's a phase. Maybe they go through a salmon phase for 2 years, and then they're out. It's not an end result. It's just they need to test it for them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, but we got through it. I kind of, I got out of like dickhead dad vegan mode.
No, what got you into the vegan lifestyle? Is it food processing industry? Is it dietary, mainly health reasons?
Yeah, you know what?
Both?
My high school job was working in a butcher shop.
Oh, boom. There it is.
And it
There
was
it is.
very, again,
Ding,
small
ding, ding.
neighborhood butcher shop.
Yeah.
Like
In
I saw a
Chicago. I
lot
can
of
only
weird shit.
imagine. I can only imagine a butcher shop in Chicago. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
around, Illinois. It wasn't
Yep.
Chicago, but yeah, what that would be like. That is the most
Yeah,
blue
like,
collar you can get.
I mean, I won't say. I mean, I definitely saw everything. You would
Sure.
see like, like, you'd see like meat getting delivered, and the butchers would go through it, and then they would find like a tumor on a piece of meat and just cut it off. So, I mean, it happens, like
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds with it, but so
Right.
that kind of started making me think like, I don't know
you
if
got
I
to
want
see
to
behind
do
the curtain.
exactly.
Right.
So, and then, when I started going to punk shows, I started meeting like-minded, like people that were vegetarian. And at that point, I still wasn't ready to like make that commitment. And then one day, actually, we were recording our first album in Lafayette, Indiana. That's where the studio was.
Okay.
And I went to Burger King and I got like chicken tenders and I bit into it. And it was just all like this fatty, weird.
Yeah, not chicken.
Not chicken. Yeah. And I literally was like, all right, that's it. I'm done. And I never really thought twice about it since. And then over the years, I ended up just going vegan, like straight vegan, just more about, not supporting the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a big, like anti-animal cruelty, guy. I want to, speak for the animals. So, I just went that route and it felt right for my lifestyle,
Okay. I know being socially conscious is something that's important to the band and kind of having, maybe for the lack of a better term, mission. Besides causes like this, animal cruelty causes, what other causes or missions are important to the band to communicate to fans, to get them thinking about other things in the world?
We've done stuff with the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless, just to raise money to support them. Especially Chicago winters are brutal for the unhoused community. So we raise money to provide meals, clothing. We've done a lot of that. I think for me personally, it's funny because people are like, how do you pick and choose like what you're going to support? And I think the easiest is to start in your community. And that's why like an organization like the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless is huge, because Tim and I live in Chicago. We grew up there, where even in my community, in the town I live in now, like just even like remind people, like, don't dispose of things incorrectly, like batteries, recycle them, recycle electronics, don't put it in a landfill.
Right.
It's like stuff like that where like my kids could actually take part in it. So I try to focus my efforts again, locally, community based. And then, the band, again, the band's, I feel like every record we've done something that's more focused. We've worked with Sea Shepherd, to speak up against or out against the whaling industry. We've done stuff with Greenpeace over the years. The list goes on and on. But because there are so many worthy causes, it's really hard to focus on just one.
Sure.
Especially on like a tour cycle for us is 2 years. So we try to like focus around that, actually I'm trying to think, but yeah, like, I guess at the end of the day, like you have to think, it's easier to think locally. And you could, I know it sounds trite, but you'll see the change if you're acting locally, You know,
Sure.
you'll be able to see what you're accomplishing.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. That's cool. And I love that that's part of what you guys are doing. And I think that that's important because music on so many levels is a healing device, you know, and should be
Absolutely.
used for that. I think whether it's a tough love approach of maybe mirroring society to show them what needs to be changed, that's healing starts there. You got to know that there's a problem before you can address it. So I still think that that's an aspect of healing, or doing more of a boots on the ground thing like you guys are doing.
Yeah.
You know, being really proactive. I think that that's fantastic. 2-year tour cycle. So this one that just started, you're out for till April. Then how long are you home before you go back out?
So we have some scattered festivals in May, like Warped Tour Festival is in DC. We're playing that in May, and we're playing Welcome to Rockville in Florida, Daytona Beach. That's also in May. That's like with My Chemical Romance. I mean, there's like a million bands on the fest. Great, they're fun to play, and then we'll head over to Europe end of June or mid June for like playing festivals over there and some, again, scattered headliners to fill in the off days, and that takes us into August, and then we're figuring out now what the fall's going to look like. But I would imagine it would be more headlining shows in the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be a proper bass podcast if we didn't talk about what's your rig? What are you playing?
So, you know, what's funny? Growing up, it was the tried and true Ampeg SVT Classic, 8x10 SVT cabinet with a Sans amp.
Yeah. Given the era you were talking about, like 100%, that's the sound for all of that. Like everybody was playing that rig in that genre, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like playing hot, sweaty punk shows. The Ampeg heads would always fail. They would always overheat.
Right.
You know, you always get the red green LED going. You know, you're like, it's overheating. I mean, but you can't touch that sound, right? So I did that for years and years, and then you know, at some point I switched to like Mesa had the big block bass head that it had the best distortion channel ever, you know, for what I did as a punk bass player. I absolutely love that head. But again, they had heating, the heating element would fail, and then it would just fritz out. So I went through so many of those heads. And then the last tube amp I used was the Fender Bassman 300, Fender, right? The Pro 300 or whatever. That's a great head. Like the distortion on that's amazing. You know, again, and I think I was using the Fender 8x10 cabs, but then at some point I moved into Dark Glass. I started playing the Dark Glass 900 head because they're like literally indestructible, solid state. You know, I never had anything overheat on me. I played that for about 3 years. The distortion on that head, again, so good.
So do
I ended up not using any.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. Do you typically use the stock fuzz distortion elements instead of running anything external, a stop box or a processor?
Yeah. So exactly. So I'm pretty basic because I couldn't get the distortion I wanted through the Ampeg. I used the Sans amp, and then you know what happened? At some point, even with the Fender stuff, I used the Dark Glass, the B7K pedal distortion, like the distortion pedal, with that head, and that kind of got me where I wanted to be. And then at some point, Dark Glass started making those heads and I kind of struck up a conversation with the rep at Dark Glass, Lauren. He's a great dude, at least at the time. Now he's with Neural. But
I was gonna say, oh, he's not a great dude now. Like,
yeah,
he's a great
no,
dude. Well, at
he's
the
still
time he
an
was a great
amazing
dude. Now he's kind of a dick, but whatever.
But yeah, like, so I went into just, the Dark Glass. The Dark Glass distortion was just amazing. And I never really changed my tone from song to song. So I never really needed any stomp boxes or, even like, I'm a fan of chorus on bass, but I never really, incorporated that into the Rise Again sound. I did for like maybe 2 songs out of the 25 years that we've been a band, but only on record. I never really brought it live.
Okay.
But I also realized very late in life, like, I play a lot of bass chords in my in my style, and chorus really brings out bass chords, and I should have been taking advantage of that, but I didn't. But yeah, like, so Dark Glass, and then I think I was using like a 410 cab. I think when I went to Dark Glass, I started playing the orange cabs were like indestructible. So 410 orange bass cabinet, and then the last year and a half, I just went straight quad Cortex, no cabs, just quad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've always played a P bass, Fender P basses with the Seymour Duncan quarter pound pickups. And then not Ricochet, but the record before Ricochet, I went back to playing a jazz bass because I grew up playing jazz basses, just because you get that just aggressive, you pop through the mix, with the jazz bass.
Bite when you get that bridge pickup in there, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's funny because on our record, Nowhere Generation, I was like, I'm going to go back to jazz because the bass lines on that record were very busy, and I want to pop through the mix, So, and I always Seymour Duncan quarter pound pickups.
Okay.
And that's what I'm playing live now. Like, it's Fender Jazz, and I'm playing Dark Glass stuff via the quad Cortex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the studio rig is then the same as the live rig.
So studio's all over the map.
Okay.
I think on the production team, we would normally we used on like 8 records, which was Bill Stevenson was a producer. He's also the drummer from the band The Descendants and Black Flag, and he comes from like the punk world and the pop punk world. He's got a studio called The Blasting Room in Fort Collins, Colorado. So we recorded most of our records there, and we've always used a DI source, Sansamp. The last record we recorded with Bill, we used the Fender Bassman 300 head. We used a Marshall 900 as a source. And we blended, right? Depending on the song, we kind of blended, whatever. And a Tube Screamer, like that was also in the mix.
Okay, on the bass?
Yeah, on the bass.
Oh, wow. I've
Yeah.
never checked that out.
Yeah, it's super fun to use on bass for sure.
So how many tracks would you use? Like you got a direct line. And then let's say you're going through the Fender, and then you got a line coming off of the Marshall, then you got a line coming off the Tube Screamer. So how many tracks are you running simultaneously to then negotiate in mix?
It's like five or 6.
That's good. That's good.
And you just take the blend on what. Yeah, again, like some songs lend themselves to like more aggressive tones, and some songs we laid back a little bit. But yeah, so studio has always been a different animal than live for us. But I've always maintained like a slightly distorted sound, like on our records. Even on our last record, I used the Fender again, the Fender Bassman. The last record was different. I've only had one source. I used Fender Bassman 300, and then when I wanted to like really get it super fuzzed out, I would use the green pedal on the quad Cortex.
Okay.
And then when Ellen Mulder, who's done, I mean, he mixed, like he works with like Smashing Pumpkins over the years and Depeche Mode, and he's kind of a legendary mixer. He had this. To my understanding, it was handmade, I don't know if it was a one-off, but he had this little bass combo in his studio that he would reamp my bass tracks through that really got this super aggressive tone. So on the record, it's a lot of this amp that he's had in his studio, just reamped.
Okay.
But it's a really cool tone. But yeah, live, for live right now, I'm running I think I have a mix of like an Ampeg flip top with a dark glass B7K pedal. And I do use the Soviet pedal like for fuzz, I'm using a fuzz for like our intro that I'm playing, because I wanted it to, I'm playing a lot of big bass chords, and I want it to sound just kind of like massive,
Sure.
And that's really it. As far as the cab, again, it's a flip top. So it's like a 112, I think I'm using. And that's it,
Okay.
Nothing too crazy.
Okay. Has it ever been a specific decision to not use the exact same, or get as close to possible, replicate the studio live? Because sometimes I know there's bands and musicians that want to okay, I need to basically take the studio, I need to put all that in a box and do the exact same thing every time I hit stage every night. Was it a specific decision to open up rig options and not necessarily try to duplicate the exact same sound live?
So yeah, for me, I wanted to keep it simple live, and I basically took like the average, right, the average tone of like our record, and captured that with one, right, the SVT or the Fender with maybe a distortion pedal. Again, actually the Fender, that distortion channel is pretty awesome. I never really used a dark glass B7K with it. But yeah, I just tried to, it was like law of averages, really.
Sure.
I just tried to get an overall.
Sure.
I don't like having too many things. I don't want things to fail live. Even with my quad, at first I was like, oh, I should do different scenes, song to song. And, I never went down that road. I just I still want to complicate it,
Right. So you're on tour now, and you're on tour till till April for this first leg of the tour. What city are you in right now?
I'm in Pittsburgh right now. So we had a day off yesterday. We played tonight. And it's been, I love this city. It's been cool just to kind of chill out. And then we start heading, like tomorrow we'll be in Michigan, and then Madison, Wisconsin. And luckily, that's the midway point of our tour. And then, so we have 2 days off after Madison, and Chicago's like a 2-hour drive. So I'm going to go home for a couple days and regroup.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we'll pick back up and start heading out west.
Killer, man. Man, thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
If you've enjoyed this episode, you can support the Bass Shed podcast by clicking subscribe and giving this video a thumbs up on YouTube, or by following the show and leaving a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. Every subscription, rating, and review helps grow and connect the bass community. Thank you for your support.
All right. That was my talk with Joe Principe. The conversation got a little sidetracked, right? I think we talked about parenting more than maybe we ever have on the Bass Shed podcast. But it does. All of these factors inform everything, right? Everybody's personal life informs the music, and that is something that always has to be balanced. I love how Joe spoke about the balance of family life and his career. And it's so important to stay true to what core values are and how he defines success for himself and success for the band. Wonderful insights, wonderful mindsets, and I think that there's a lot there that we can all kind of adopt for ourselves and kind of understand maybe, what does success mean for me within my career, within what do I want out of music, what is success? And I think that Joe's got it dialed in, that it's not about necessarily playing the biggest venues and all that, but it's really about reaching people and having a positive impact on listeners of the band Rise Against. It was great to have Joe on the podcast. You can check out links in the show notes to listen to the group and to check out their tour schedule. All the things are in the show notes below. That's about all I got for this one, folks. That's all I got for this one. I'll catch you on the next one in a minute.